Hello, my name is Kim Canchola and I work for ATI at CSUSB. Welcome. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to log in and create a new project in Spoke, upload assets, place and manipulate your assets, and finally publish to Mozilla Hubs. We will begin by going to this address, hubs.mozilla.com/spoke. We will begin by selecting Login on the top right corner. We will enter our email and send a magic link. Once we receive our magic link, click on it. It'll verify. Now that it's complete, we can close this and return to Spoke. We are now logged in. We will start with a new project, a new empty project. And now this is where we can create our scene. On the top left, you can find the menu. Here you have File for starting new projects, saving your projects, or publishing to Hub. You have the Help section where you can find the tutorial, the keyboard and mouse controls. I recommend looking over this page to look at the more advanced controls. And now we can begin. In this section, we will learn how to prepare our assets to use them in our scene. You might be wondering, what are assets? Assets are non-code elements that can be used to put together a scene. For example, images, models, and audio files. You should have access to the Share Google Drive. We will begin by dragging our mouse over all of the assets with the left mouse button. We will let go and then we will right click and hit download. Once it has finished downloading, it should appear at the bottom. We will look at it in our folder. It's right here. We will then right-click, extract all. Once it's finished extracting, we will now have them available for use. We can now return to Spoke. We will find the Assets section on the bottom left. We will select My Assets. This part should be empty, but that's okay. We will fill it up right now. We will then drag the assets we want into this section. So all of them. Once you finish doing that for all of them, we can now use them. So let's say we want to drag a table in, a desk. Maybe there are more models that you would like to use. We can go to Sketchfab and search for a common classroom item like a book. We can also drag this in. And now you're ready to start using your models. In this section, we will learn how to manipulate our assets. If we would like to get rid of an asset, we can right-click on it. For example, let's get rid of the Turing crater since we don't want to build a classroom on a crater. And delete it. We can now drag in our pre-built class, wait for it to load, and we now have our school. We can move around the scene by entering fly mode. With fly mode, you use your right mouse button, hold it down, and hit WASD. Make this bigger. So yes, hold down your right mouse button and move forward with W, backward with S, left with A, and right with D. Let's go down, and here we can find our classrooms. You can either use this room 2 or room 1 to create your scene. Let's drag a new one in. Let's drag in a table, some cubbies, perhaps a shelf. Some of them take a while to load. Okay, so we can select a model in the scene by clicking on it and hitting T. If you would like to zoom in and out slowly, you can use the scroll wheel. Okay. When we hit T, we enter the translation gizmo, which allows you to move objects. Drag the colored arrows to move the objects along the X, Y, or Z axis. R reveals the rotation gizmo, which allows you to rotate objects. We click on the circles with your left mouse button and drag it over, and now your table is rotating. Use the green one to rotate it this way, horizontally. You can use X to change an object's pivot point. The pivot point is where an object will rotate around. So let's hit X. It now moved to the center. And now it more or less spins around rather than orbits the bottom. If we hit X again, it'll now rotate around the bottom part. Can you see the difference? Y reveals the scale gizmo. Let's hit Y. We click on the cube and hold it down. And you can see it now gets smaller or bigger. Personally, I prefer to change the scale in the properties section. If you click on a object under the hierarchy, it will show you its properties. Here you can see the position, rotation, and scale and change them to your liking. We can say change the scale to 5 and that'll make it 5 times the size it originally was. We can change it to 0.5, it'll change it to half of the size it was. You can select multiple objects in the scene by clicking on them through the hierarchy section while holding down the Shift key. So let's hit Shift. We now have the cubbies and the table selected. If we hit T, we can now move them together. If we hit R, we can rotate them together. I do recommend using the properties section more. If you would like to change the spawn point, you could do that here. Change the intensity of the lighting. And those are the basics of manipulating objects in Spoke right now. If you would like to know more, you can go back to the Spoke controls and see the other options that you can do, other controls. In this section, we will learn how to publish to hubs. On the top right corner, there will be a button that says Publish to Hubs. We'll click on it, give our scene a name, save and publish. It will now export the scene. We can publish. It'll upload the thumbnail and upload the scene. This scene is now published. We can select View Your Scene. It'll now open it, create a room with this scene. Now, if you would like to invite others to this room, you can click on the Invite button on the bottom left corner. Here, you will get a link that you can send to others. Now, you can join the room yourself. You write in your display name, add an avatar, and hit Accept. Now you can enter the room. We are now inside. We have spawned on top of the school because the spawn point was selected here, but you can change that when you're creating your scene in Spoke. And that is the end of this portion. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video and good luck on your projects.